Hey YouTube, BusinessSan here. As some of you might remember, there was a scandal earlier this year involving flames and inner abilities. In this video we're gonna go over what exactly the impact has been for MapleStory and for Nexon financially, and which improvements and changes we can expect in MapleStory Global and MapleStory C in the near future. Just to quickly recap what exactly the issue was again, there was a problem with the logic in which the stats for flames and inner abilities were calculated. This caused certain stats to appear more frequent together and some stats to appear more often. Basically, strength was free. This issue was fixed and compensation was given, but for many Maplers in Korea, where MapleStory at that time was still in the top 5 most played games in PC cafes, it was the final straw that broke the camel's back. It was quite evident that the developer did not know how their own game was working, because this issue was caused by a massive oversight and it was reported by users before, but nothing was ever done with it. This lack of communication and listening to user feedback caused quite a few Maplers to quit MapleStory and seek their entertainment elsewhere. Let's go over how big the impact of the scandal and broken user trust actually was when we look at Nexon's financials. Afterwards we'll take a look at the changes and improvements made to the game. In the investor presentation of Q4 of 2020, it was all about MapleStory. The game was boasting impressive growth numbers in Korea. Korea is where about 50% of Nexon's total revenue is coming from, with North America and Europe only being responsible for 7% of the revenue and other areas like C only 6%. But needless to say, there was a lot of growth from MapleStory in 2020 all around the world, but mostly in Korea. Entering 2021, the scandal broke in February and compensation was given out in March and April. Overall, everything's still fine and dandy. PC revenue earned by Nexon in Q1 grew by 21% year over year, with a slight annotation to look at the next page of the presentation. Here Nexon mentions the issues they have been having and that the amount of players have already been dropping since February, but aren't fully reflected because Q1 was off to a pretty good start. Also, both MapleStory and MapleStory Mobile are doing really well in the rest of the world. They continue to show growing numbers. Up until 2020, MapleStory has already earned over $3 billion US, and Nexon spent a ton of time talking about building virtual worlds and other investor rubbish, but always with a high focus on the top performer, MapleStory. Then earlier this week, the Q2 result presentation for 2021 was dropped and we see, or rather we don't see, much of MapleStory anymore at all. There are a couple of lines at the beginning of the presentation that mention that there is a rapid and careful treatment to player feedback, that Maplers rate the game more positively in Q2, which doesn't really mean anything to me personally, and that there's a high focus on rebuilding long-term trust over short-term monetization. MapleStory's revenue was below outlook. Nexon's PC game revenue decreased by 7% year over year, and this is expected to continue well into Q3 of 2021 due to players just leaving the game. With Nexon being mostly reliant on their PC revenue from their big titles, this decrease is quite massive actually. MapleStory and MapleStory M are still growing year over year in other regions though, so it seems that their biggest impact was in Korea and not in the West, or in Europe, the USA or in C. By the way, did you know that Nexon also invested about $100 million in Bitcoins? This was generally regarded as a good move at that time, but no more than a week later, Bitcoin tanked again, causing Nexon to lose about $40 million US. Yikes. Maybe that money could have been invested elsewhere, like giving more developer resources to the regional MapleStory teams like MapleC, Global, Taiwan, China and Japan. But hey, what do I know of running a business? At least the stock price is still fine, right? Oh, wait. So in short, business-wise, Nexon Korea took quite a heavy hit from the scandal. The other MapleStory regions though seem to be doing fine and are still continuing to grow. Now, the MapleStory developer promised a lot of changes and improvements, so let's quickly hop over to MapleStory Korea and see what some of the changes are and what we can expect. Most regions have already gotten some of them, like the reworked Legion store, but what else is there? Let's start off with inner abilities. Those have been improved so that now the first line never drops in rank anymore. If you hit epic, it will stay epic and it will only continue to go up to unique or legendary. It will passively increase in honor EXP because though the higher the rank. And you can also now see the rarity of your other lines, so you actually know if those lines are ranked up or not, which is also pretty neat in my opinion. The stat window has gotten quite a big overhaul. You can now see where your stats are coming from in the window on the right. For example, over at your critical rate, you can see that we have 5% base critical rate, we got 20% from skills and 9% from our hyperstats. We can now also create hyperstats presets, which is great for changing those around when bossing or grinding. Pathfinders can now finally open job advance to other archers and vice versa. About time that was possible as well. A new setting was added that you can turn off the UI transparency when you get hit. Seriously, thank goodness it finally got added. No one likes the transparent UI, man. Come on, I've never heard anyone say, oh man, I just love it that I can't see my UI anymore when I hit a monster. That's amazing. There were some changes related to bosses as well. Boss drops are more visible now, and portals have been changed to be more visible as well. Also, Hila's cage mechanic was removed. She now summons skeletons, which heal her instead. It's still pretty hard to deal with, but hey, at least you're no longer stuck in a cage for 30 seconds. Besides those and many other quality of life changes, there are some skill changes coming our way as well. Finally, some classes like Demon Slayer and Knight of Sickness are getting their own hero's will skill, and Phantom is getting some well needed buffs as well. There is a more visual skill change for Dark Knight, which looks pretty cool, and there are a ton of smaller tweaks, buffs and some nerfs. Most importantly, I think, is that Hero, Paladin, All Explorer Magicians and Archers, Cannoneer, Luminous, Angelic Buster and Kinesis all had their attack speed increased by 1 stage due to skill changes. And most importantly, for reboot players, the first job passive reboot skill now instead of increasing damage per level, increases final damage based on different level intervals. You'll get 30% final damage below level 100, 40% between level 100 and level 149, 50% between level 150, 199, etc, etc. This is a huge boost to reboot players, so I'm pretty sure there are quite a few people looking pretty forward to this. I for sure am actually, now I'm playing a reboot a bit more. These aren't all changes coming our way, but I hope it gives a good indication of what's about to come. There also was a user advisory council in Korea that was made of prominent and player elected Maplers, but it has been disbanded since due to the drama and ineffectiveness. Now everything just goes directly into a forum board. I think a council with players on it is a pretty bad idea to begin with, because if there are any changes done that those players might or might have not had something to say about or do with, then I'm pretty sure some other players would attack them if they didn't like the changes. So what is next? Well, after the Neo update in MapleStory Korea, there was a small update with some skill changes and a Detective Pepe event. A month later, the Yeti and Pink Bean classes were released, which are time-limited classes that can only be created during that event. Those classes have their own server, their own world, and leveling them up rewards Maplers with goodies for their other non-Pink Bean and Yeti characters. If you're interested in knowing more about what's to come, I highly recommend checking out orangemushroom.net, who makes frequent posts about everything that's happening in MapleStory Korea. So there are a lot of skill change, a lot of quality of life changes, and a smaller update coming our way. Hopefully the skill changes in Pink Bean and Yeti event will be combined into one big update. That would be pretty neat. But that was all for today. I hope you now learn a bit more about what's to come. And as always, many thanks to our members for making this video possible. Thanks to Niels, Coninck, Raar, maar waar, Sebastian, Hanoy, FLX, Ryalias, Terry Kim, Vareese, Dries, Zumker, Wiley, Francisco Sousa, Historycanon, BackSpaceOTI, ceemak, Saffronyx, Lorenzo, BG Extremes, Anwar, NHI, Brendon, Frank Bouquit, Ziggy Deer, Flidiot, Beamer WT, Knifesu, Chen125, Cloudfix, Gusus Rodriguez, Sir QQ Morse, Froggy11, Sir Tito655, Grayson Lee, Riser RU, Brandon Cam, Vira, Bruno H, Trevor, Yuki436, Afterlord_MS, Sinfralido, Ratius, John Man, Lucky Beats, Justin Vale, Silvio Nato, Stevie Zhang, Yaruski TV, Soli Shinada, and Heopan. If you would like to be mentioned here as well and get early access to new videos, make sure to check out that join button below this video. Thank you all so much for watching, stay safe and happy mapling!